This video is for section 4.3, using studies wisely. So this is a very short section. We will be learning about 3 important things from this section, and that is scope of inference, the challenges of establishing causation, and data ethics. So we're going to begin by talking about statistical studies and drawing conclusions from those statistical studies, which we call making inferences. So 2 examples are the U.S. Census Bureau carries out a monthly current population survey of about 60,000 households. Their goal is to use data from these randomly selected households to estimate the percent of unemployed individuals in the population. And the second example that we're going to be looking at is scientists performed an experiment that randomly assigned 21 volunteer subjects to one of the 2 treatments, sleep deprivation for one night or unrestricted sleep. The experiments hoped to show that sleep deprivation causes a decrease in performance 2 days later. So from these 2 particular studies, we want to know what kind of inference can be made. And so the answer for that question actually kind of depends on the design of the study. So in the first example, the Census Bureau example, that is an example of a sample survey. So the individuals who responded were chosen at random from the population of interest. Random sampling avoids bias and produces trustworthy estimates of the truth about the population. The Census Bureau should be safe making an inference about the population based on the results of the sample, because we use random sampling to get that information. So they randomly chose 60,000 households to survey. So we should be okay to make an inference about the population based on that one. In the second example, the sleep deprivation experiment, subjects were randomly assigned to the sleep deprivation and unrestricted sleep treatments. Random assignment helps ensure that the 2 groups of subjects are as similar as possible before the treatments are imposed. If the unrestricted sleep group performs much better than the sleep deprivation group, the difference is too large to be explained by chance variation in the random assignment, and so it must be due to the treatments. So because we randomly assigned people to those groups, we should be able to say kind of a cause and effect relationship based on the information that we gather from the survey or the study. So we could, in that case, safely conclude that sleep deprivation caused the decrease in performance. So that basically means that we can make an inference about cause and effect. However, since the experiment used volunteer subjects, this limits scientists' ability to generalize their findings to a larger population of individuals. So using that information that we just discussed, we can kind of refer back and forth to this table here at the bottom. And so basically, we were able to infer 2 different things depending on the design of our experiment. If the individuals were randomly assigned to groups, then we can make inference about cause and effect. So this is like random assignment of basically the treatments. And if the individuals were randomly selected, like to participate, then we can make an inference about the population from which we selected the experimental units, basically. So in our table down here at the bottom, you'll see on the left that you have were the individuals randomly selected, yes or no, and then across the top it says were the individuals randomly assigned to groups, and that's a yes or no. So if you're looking and you see that individuals are randomly selected, yes, and they were also randomly assigned to groups, then that means that we can make an inference about the population and also about the cause and effect. However, if individuals were not randomly selected, but they weren't randomly assigned to groups, then we cannot make an inference about population, but we can about cause and effect. If individuals were randomly selected to participate, but not randomly assigned to groups, then we can make an inference about the population, but not about cause and effect. And if individuals were not randomly selected to participate, and they were also not randomly assigned to groups, then we cannot make an inference about population or cause and effect. So this is a great table for you to refer back to anytime that you have questions about inference, about population, or about cause and effect. So this is a wonderful thing for you to be using as you are studying for your Chapter 4 test. So we're going to talk specifically about determining scope of inference with this example about a small town dentist. So in this example, a small town dentist wants to know if a daily dose of 500 milligrams of vitamin C will result in fewer canker sores in the mouth than taking no vitamin C. So the dentist is considering the following 4 study designs. The first one is to get all dental patients in the town with appointments in the next 2 weeks to take part in a study, and then give each patient a survey with 2 questions. Do you take at least 500 milligrams of vitamin C each day, and do you frequently have canker sores? Based on the patient's answer to question 1, divide them into 2 groups, those who take at least 500 milligrams of vitamin C daily and those who do not. Design 2 is to get all the dental patients in the town with appointments in the next 2 weeks to take part in a study. Randomly assign half of them to take 500 milligrams of vitamin C each day, and the other half to abstain from taking vitamin C for 3 months. Design 3 is to select a random sample of dental patients in the town and get them to take part in a study. Divide the patients into 2 groups as in Design 1. And so that would be dividing them into 2 groups, those who take 500 milligrams of vitamin C daily and those who do not. And Design 4 is to select a random sample of dental patients in the town and get them to take part in a study. Randomly assign half of them to take 500 milligrams of vitamin C each day and the other half to abstain from taking vitamin C for 3 months. For whichever design the dentist chooses, suppose she compares the proportion of patients in each group who complain of canker sores, and then also suppose that she finds a statistically significant difference with a smaller proportion of those taking vitamin C having canker sores. What can the dentist conclude from each design? So in the first design, the patients were not randomly selected because she took the patients that had appointments in the next 2 weeks to take part in a study. So in the first one, remember our questions, looking back at our table, is were individuals randomly selected and then were they randomly assigned to groups? So I'm going to write down selected, no, because this was just anybody that had appointments in the next 2 weeks, and then assigned. And for this one, they had no random assignment to the 2 groups. And so therefore, because they were not randomly selected and they were not randomly assigned, then we really can't draw any conclusions about this particular design. And so with no random assignment to the 2 groups, no inference can be made about cause and effect. And then the dentist just knows that these patients who took vitamin C had fewer canker sores than those who did not, and because these people were not randomly selected to participate, then no inference can be made about the general population either. In Design 2, again, we're looking at were they randomly selected to participate, and then were they randomly assigned to one of 2 groups. And so these people were not randomly selected because it was anyone that had an appointment in the next 2 weeks. And then they were randomly assigned, so this would be a yes. So looking back at our table, they were not randomly selected, but they were randomly assigned, so we cannot draw any inference about the population, but we can draw an inference about cause and effect. And so what that means is that, assuming that there was proper control in the experiment, she can conclude that taking vitamin C did reduce the chance of getting canker sores in her subjects. But because these people were not randomly selected to participate, then we really can't make any inference about the result holding for a larger population of dental patients. In Design 3, we're looking at were they randomly selected, were they randomly assigned. So these were randomly selected to participate, and then they were not necessarily randomly assigned. So no. So since the patients were randomly selected from the population of dental patients in the town, the dentist can generalize the results of the study to the population. Because this was an observational study, however, we were just kind of seeing whether or not these people were taking the vitamin C or whether they were not, then we can really draw no inference about cause and effect. And so the dentist can conclude that for the population of dental patients in the town, those taking vitamin C had fewer canker sores than those who did not. She cannot say whether the vitamin C causes a reduction or some other confounding variable. Note that the dentist can't draw a conclusion about whether those people in the general population of the town who took vitamin C will have fewer canker sores since the sample was only of dental patients. So again, it's kind of unclear, are these people not having the canker sores because they were taking vitamin C or for some other reason. In Design 4, these people were randomly selected and then they were randomly assigned. And so because they were randomly selected and randomly assigned, then we can actually make a conclusion about the population and about cause and effect. So as in Design 3, the random sampling allows the dentist to generalize the results of this study to the population of dental patients in the town. As in Design 2, the random assignment would allow her to conclude, assuming proper control in the experiment, that taking vitamin C reduced the chance of getting canker sores. So the dentist would conclude that for the population of dental patients in the town, those taking vitamin C will tend to have fewer canker sores than those who don't due to the vitamin C. And as with Design 3, she can't extend this result to the general population of the town. All right, so next we're going to talk about challenges of establishing causation. So we're going to talk about an example about the center brake lights reducing rear end crashes. And so the center brake lights would be like the brake lights that are in the middle of the top of the back windshield in a vehicle. And so do those high center brake lights required on all cars sold in the United States since 1986 really reduce rear end collisions? Randomized comparative experiments with fleets of rental and business cars done before the lights were required showed that the third brake light reduced rear-end collisions by as much as 50%, but requiring the third light in all cars led to only a 5% drop. What happened? Most cars did not have the extra brake light when the experiments were carried out, so it caught the eye of the following drivers. Now that almost all the cars have the third light, they can really capture no attention. And so in some cases, it isn't even practical or even ethical to do an experiment. Consider these important questions. Does texting while driving increase the risk of having an accident? Does going to church regularly help people live longer? And does smoking cause lung cancer? To answer these cause and effect questions, we just need to perform a randomized comparative experiment. Unfortunately, we can't randomly assign people to text while driving or to attend church or to smoke cigarettes. The best data we have about these and many other cause and effect questions comes from observational studies. And so there is some criteria for establishing causation when we can't conduct an experiment, like in those examples of texting and driving, going to church, and smoking causing lung cancer. So if association is strong, the association is consistent, larger values of explanatory variables are associated with stronger responses, the alleged cause precedes the effect in time, and the alleged cause is plausible. So to kind of go back through each one of those, we're going to kind of link those back to smoking causing lung cancer. And so when we talk about the association being strong, the association between smoking and lung cancer is very strong, especially if you're looking at data that has happened kind of since this whole smoking is bad discussion that is very popular and has been very popular for many, many years. The association is consistent. Many studies of different kinds of people in many countries link smoking to lung cancer. And so that reduces the chance that a lurking variable specific to one group or in one particular area or one study explains the association. So we're kind of seeing it through different types of studies in different parts of the world. And so that's what we mean by the association being consistent. Anywhere, any kind of experiment, any type of study, we're seeing the same things going on. So when we talk about larger values of the explanatory variable are associated with stronger responses, people who smoke more cigarettes per day or who smoke over longer periods get lung cancer more often. People who stop smoking reduce their risk. And so, again, thinking about those studies that have been going on for years now, we're seeing that people who are smoking more cigarettes a day or for longer longer periods of their life are more likely to have lung cancer than those who see that they're smoking and that it's causing an effect on their health, and so they quit. When we talk about the alleged cause precedes the effect in time, lung cancer develops after years of smoking. The number of men dying of lung cancer rose as smoking became more common, with a lag of about 30 years. Lung cancer kills more men than any other form of cancer. Lung cancer was rare among women until women began to smoke, and lung cancer in women rose along with smoking, again with a lag of about 30 years, and is now past breast cancer as the leading cause of cancer death among women. When we talk about the alleged cause being plausible, experiments with animals show that tar from cigarette smoke do cause cancer. In the next portion of the video, we're going to talk about basic data ethics. And so we know ethics is basically that is this right, is this wrong, is everybody protected type of issues. All planned studies must be reviewed in advance by an institutional review board charged with protecting the safety and well-being of the subjects. Remember, the subjects are the people that are participating. All individuals who are subjects in a study must give their informed consent, so that's yes, I know exactly what's going on, before data are collected. And all individual data must be kept confidential, so nobody kind of knows any information about the people that are, or the data that's being collected, and only statistical summaries for groups of subjects may be made public. Anonymity, though, is totally different than confidentiality. In anonymity, that means that basically that individuals are anonymous. And so when we talk about them being anonymous, that means that no one knows their name. And they are so anonymous that even the people that are directing the study don't know who they are. Anonymity is rare, however, in statistical studies. Even where anonymity is possible, mainly in surveys that are conducted by mail, it prevents any follow-up to improve non-response or to inform individuals of results, so we kind of try to steer clear of the anonymity. Any breach of confidentiality is a serious violation of data ethics. The best practice is to separate the identity of the study's participants from the rest of the data at once. Keep in mind that, especially in the age that we live in, a clever computer search of several databases might be able, by combining some of the information that they know, to identify you and to learn a great deal about you, even if your name and other identification, like your address and your social security number, have been removed from the data available for search. Privacy and confidentiality of data are hot issues among statisticians in the computer age because it's so easy to steal someone's identity and those kind of things, especially in the computer age that we live in.